have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged.
I need you to pull the plug.
Sounds to me like you may need to unplug, man.
Well, you're gonna go unplug? Unplug.
Leave my plug alone!
Time to pull the plug.
Hello, Durham. We have a very special episode for you today. So ultimately, when I started this program, it was just obviously a chance to get to know politicians. Sorry, I'm Sterling Lee, and this is Durham Unplugged, a chance to meet your community representatives in a less than formal setting. But when I started this, it was supposed to be more of a conversation and more just like talking about our respective lives and just back and forth. It ended up becoming a bit interviewee, which is not a problem. I met so many people who I don't think I would have gotten to know otherwise. But for those of you who watch and those of you who know me, I love movies, like full stop. Like it's a very much a part of my life, my relationship. All my references are very much from pop culture and movies. So with the pandemic, sorry, let me bring into the show so you can jump in. We have for the first returning guest in Durham Unplugged history. Robbie, it's you. We have Rob Tyler Morin, and we are going to do an Oscars episode today because the way this started was during the pandemic. Anyone who jumps into a council meeting half an hour early, which nobody does except Robbie and myself, we would end up just kind of talking, and it'd always go to movies. And I started realizing, I was like, oh my God, Rob watches a ton of movies like I do. Right. And we started just kind of going over the Oscar movies, what we liked, what we didn't like. And I realized he's probably the perfect guest for this episode. So Robbie, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so honored that I'm a returning guest. I never knew that this is real. I'm fawning.
Yeah, you should. Don't let it get to your head now. All right. We're going to just two dudes talking.
I'm going to wear this.
So this was actually a bit of a disappointing Oscar year, obviously because of the pandemic. Not a lot. I mean, I think every movie here got some sort of a theatric release, but obviously I think I saw one or two movies in actually only one. I saw Tenet in the theater this year, and that was the equivalent. That was the only thing I saw in 2020. So obviously a lot of it was video on demand, direct to video, and so we will actually talk about that. And this actually coincides, the town of Ajax, for any town of Ajax employees watching, they have their own Oscar pool. So last year I did horribly, if I'm not mistaken. I finished like very much in the middle of the pack. And generally, I actually don't do very well in Oscar picks because I don't go with the consensus. I go with my gut. I go with the one that I felt deserved the win or deserved whatever. So yeah, right. I'm very curious to see where Robbie landed with a lot of these films.
I don't really what was I going to say? I don't necessarily agree with you the way you framed the fact that it wasn't a great Oscar year. After I saw all 10 movies, or there's 8, I guess, 8 of the Best Picture, which we'll talk about later. But I don't know if I would agree that it was a weak year. It was a different year, and I think in many ways, I mean, the studios would have had to have okayed all these big, huge budgets way before we got into the pandemic. However, I don't know if that's just irony, because a lot of them kind of mirrored the feeling that we're all, experiencing right now.
That's a good point. That's actually, I didn't actually piece that together, but you're not the feeling you got from the movie afterwards very much reflects pandemic life, so to speak.
It did. And there wasn't the fact that they were all a downer, but there was a couple of them that really nailed the feeling, which again, we can talk about later. And as far as Oscar picks, I think we always have to go with your heart and your head, right? So in my head, okay, this is what I think is going to win. There needs to be 2 categories every time.
Right.
In my heart and head, I think that's what it should be.
So because I've just started going like first guess, best guess, I'm just going to go with my gut. Like this is what I felt. If win or lose, it doesn't matter. But it'll hopefully spur some really interesting conversation. So we'll get started if you don't mind.
Yes.
Because this could take a while or could be 20 minutes. Who knows? This is the joy of this.
I would never let that happen.
Yeah, it's true. So we have animated film. The movies nominated were Onward, Over the Moon, Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolf Walkers. So I ended up picking Soul for best animated film. What did you pick?
I don't have my notes in front of me. I don't have my picks in front of me. I didn't print that off. but I can speak to the fact that
That is hilarious.
I know.
We had an Oscar episode,
No.
and you didn't have your Oscar picks.
Hold it. I have my big picture picks here. Like
Oh, okay, the big ones.
But I have like the 1, 2, 3, best actress, best actor. But as far as animation, when I went in, I did a little bit of YouTubing. I checked out. But I was going to say, I should have. I guess I could find it really quickly. But I was going to say that.
Didn't Sarah email them to you afterwards, or no?
Yeah, sure. You can email them to me.
No. Didn't Sarah email your
did.
picks? Go look for the email then.
Okay, so because I was going to say, if you're
Otherwise, this is going to be a very short episode, sir.
No.
I even told you before this started that we were going to go over each category.
Don't tell me that. Okay, so it would have been from. Oh, this is great. So,
You did it, I think, about a week ago, right? Didn't I send it to you a week ago and you did it right away?
yeah, no, I did it right away. But I got an email back from the town of Ajax.
Just look up Sarah Moore because I think Sarah sent them all to us.
Was it Sarah Moore? Okay.
At least that's who sent it to me. I don't know who sent it to you.
Yeah, Moore. No.
Right off the bat, you can tell we don't edit, folks. We do not edit.
No, I was going to say we're live here.
This is it. Well, look for it anyways, because I know she sent it to me. Maybe she didn't send it to you. I think she would have.
No. I got an email. I'm just trying to see.
So look up OSCARS as your
Yeah, with my search, which I did first. And festival lineup. No, that's March. This is really embarrassing. Okay. So don't tune out, folks. This is riveting,
especially within the first 5 minutes. This is what people want to see. Hold on. Okay.
Roadhouse? No, that's not it. Okay.
You sent it to me, Oscar ballot, cool. And then so check the date of last Wednesday is when you would have submitted, and so April 6th, 7th. Just check all your emails for that day.
Okay, no problem. Here we go. Oh man, this is.
I'm not pausing, by the way. This is going. This is happening.
You're not giving me any chance. You're just like, no, like stick with it. Get this done. Netflix, Home Hardware, Strava.
Why are you checking those emails? Check your Ajax email.
Buddy, no, because it came to my Gmail. It came to my Gmail.
Oh, you said use your Gmail to submit. I get it.
Now I'm going to my town of Ajax. Hold on. Oh my God. Okay.
This makes me very happy right now.
OSCARS. This reminded me yesterday when I bumped.
Okay, how about while you search for this, I will kind of go over why I picked Soul. So generally, Pixar had two movies. You found it? Okay, call it up. In the meantime, I'm gonna just say so. Pixar had two movies, I think. One was Onward, one was Soul. One of those rare years where they released two movies. Generally, I always think Pixar has it set. I really liked Onward better, but my gut instinct was that Soul was was going to win. So actually, I just negated everything I said earlier today, where I was like, I'm gonna go with my gut. I liked Onward better, I feel, but I think Soul hit better with a lot of people. So I think Soul ultimately will be the one that will win the Oscar.
Okay, I chose Over the Moon because I Googled Glenn Keane and Ginny Rim.
Mm-hmm.
Peelan Chu. I Googled them and what they had done in the past, and I like their IMDb's, if you will. That's the internet database that shows all their work in film. And
you just missed one word. You said internet database, internet movie database.
Internet movie database. So I looked that up and I thought Over the Moon, after just checking it out on YouTube, some of the trailers, that to me caught my eye. So I went with Over the Moon for animated.
Do you and the missus not have Disney Plus? Do you guys not see
we did, we do, but we don't.
Okay. So you borrow someone else's account?
No.
Oh, you had it and then you don't have it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Probably get back into it. But I have a lot of content, a lot of streams. And so there's not always time to watch it. So I felt like after 2 or 3 months of not touching it, I would let it go for now.
Do you guys generally watch animated movies?
No.
Right. So,
No.
I mean, I'm still very much a kid at heart. And so, I mean, I was very much the Disney generation in the 80s and 90s.
Me too. No,
right.
Before we had kids. I mean, we love Disney. No doubt.
So when did you stop? When did you lose your childhood, Robbie?
When I had children.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. When I had children, that was the point where I was like, oh, okay. And it's kind of switched.
Right.
But we were in the Barney years with Courtney and Jessica, my oldest. Yes.
Fair enough. Okay. So
Disney was we went to the parks and loved Disney animation. Yeah. And Pixar. I remember when Pixar came out. I remember
Toy Story, 1995.
Yeah, I remember seeing the ads and going, "What is this? This is different." And then Toy Story. I mean, Toy Story 1 and 3 is one of my favorite films. for sure.
It was so funny. I didn't think they could top 3. I thought really like they're like I was like, how could you do a 4th? Like the story's been told, and then they took that angle, and I really enjoyed the angle.
Was the angle in 4 when he went to college and they were going to throw the toys out?
That was 3.
Okay,
4 was from Woody's point of view, where like Andy gave his toys to that neighbor Bonnie,
Yeah.
and then ended up Bonnie never played with Woody, and so
Right.
he now like we had to finish up Woody's arc of just like what are we gonna do with your Woody now, and he
No,
now
great stuff.
yeah, it was
I mean,
very
and I remember
poignant.
taking tours of the animation studios, in Disney and just being mesmerized.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that was animated film. We have cinematography next. What did you pick, Robbie?
I picked Nomadland.
Yeah, I picked Nomadland as well.
Yeah.
I just remember all those. We'll talk about Nomadland, I'm sure, later because I did not like it as much as you did, if I remember correctly.
You're right.
But I remember just those sweeping shots they had taken of like just like the area, and I remember I was like, oh, that. I actually said out loud, I was like, this is really nice cinematography, and I don't remember News of the World or like I don't think cinematography really applies as much to your trial movies
No,
or
those
Mank
ones. Yeah.
or Judas, right? So I picked Nomadland as well.
Yeah. Do you say Judah and the Black Messiah or Judas?
Judas, it's a hard S for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that am I been pronouncing it incorrectly?
I don't know. I always said Judah and the Black Messiah, but I could be wrong. I think it's Judah, but I'm just going 40-60 on that.
And we have to look at it now. We'll watch the Oscars together and then be like, oh, Robbie was wrong or Sterling was right.
Yeah. Nomadland for best cinematography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then costume design. What did you pick?
Costume design. I have. Oh, where's costumes? Actor.
It should be after animated film, after cinematography.
There it is. Yeah. So I chose a movie. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay, I won't tell you what I feel about it, but I chose Mank.
Oh, we both hated Mank. I mean, let's just be honest.
I really didn't like Mank. I remember my wife's quote, Lisa, who said, "If you put it back on, I'm leaving the room."
Which is a great line.
Yeah.
My wife was more base with her criticism. She looked at me and said, "Mank stank." Then I was like, "Well, you said it all at that point."
I love that. Yeah. So, but I'll give them I can't believe they got 10 Oscar nominations, and it just seemed like, oh, right, we're supposed to nominate this one because it's done all like in black and white, and it's in the 30s, and they all talk like that, and they were talking about something that we didn't really care about.
Well, I mean, Citizen Kane is something we should care about per se, but I just found I didn't really care about Mank.
Listen, I took apart Citizen Kane. I know that with the filming, which I was going to talk about today, how Orson Welles put sheets over the roofs so that he could have microphones at the top of the roofs. They'd never shown roofs before, and how important that film was. There's so many, things that we use in film today that came out of Citizen Kane. No, I'm right there. But as far as the story of Citizen Kane, and basically loosely based on William Randolph Hearst, richest man in the world, kind of, Hearst Castle and it just seemed a bit like, I don't know, just kind of weird. And so now this was the story about that story.
Yeah, it's true. And soon there'll be the story about the story of the story. No, I'm kidding. I picked Emma. I always think the Academy really likes these like old school costumes. Like they just, anytime it's like a historical or quasi historical piece, they generally give the edge to that. So I hedged on that one.
You could be right. Yeah. I mean, the other ones, Pinocchio, amazing. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was really visually tight. Like I liked it. So that could pull it.
We're seeing that tonight. There's actually a lot of movies I still have not seen yet. And so that is one of them. And we will hopefully it'll we'll go for me, I'll go into that later on.
As much as I bumbled, about as much as you can bumble when we first started this, I have seen all the Oscar films. So I'll get you in the third period.
Yeah, for sure. Documentary feature. I watched half of My Octopus Teacher and then I stopped. So the nominees are Collective, Crip Camp, The Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time. A lot of times for the Oscar ballots, what I'll do is I'll watch the trailers online and I'll try and get a feel,
No, at least watch the trailers, yeah.
So based on that, I ended up picking The Collective for my documentary feature. What did you pick?
Well, I picked The Mole Agent, and the directors, the people that made the film, and oftentimes in documentary features, the director and the editor and the producer and the executive producer, I'm just totally butchering their names, but Métis Birdie and Marcella, they have, to me, an even more difficult time to crack me, like to make me move, because they're coming in from with a different language and a different point of view. And that's where I get really sort of mesmerized, or I get really interested, because it's something different, right? And the fact that they were able to do that, and that's what happened for me in Minari, which is another story. But so I went with that one, because how good is that film to move me when,
Right.
So I don't know. That, to me, that's what that was. It was just.
I remember I saw the trailer for Mole Agent, and the picture is of like the old man. I think it's someone who does like who looks into retirement homes. So they hired an investigator, I think is the gist of the movie.
Yeah,
And it's an old man with a magnifying glass, and it seems almost like comical, like old school Pink Panther comical. And I was like, there's no way this is going to win Best Documentary, right? So, I mean, again, it's completely superficial. Didn't actually see the films, and it's just one of those. I was like, nah. But again, who knows? Who knows?
Mole Agent for me, documentary feature.
Which leads us to documentary short subject. What did you have for that, Robbie?
Didn't say. I chose The Hunger Ward just on watching a little bit of all the trailers.
Right, and I picked A Love Song for Latasha. This was the shooting death which sparked the 1992 LA riots. And I think what the Academy tries to do sometimes is become socially conscious. And obviously with last year, with all the BLM, all the George Floyd stuff, and unfortunately with the one we just saw yesterday as well. Oh my God, just killer. I'm sorry, I can't pull the name off the top of my head right now. But
yeah, but he said, oops.
Yeah, it was a female cop, actually.
Yeah, she said, oops. I mean,
because, a taser feels exactly like a gun, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's not what today's about. We'll get into that another time. But so because of that, I think it was very connected with the theme of last year, to your point, of just thematically how the Oscars captured that. And that's why I picked Love Song for Latasha.
Oh, good. That's probably a good bet. Yeah.
And which one did you pick?
Oh, I had said Hunger Ward.
Hunger Ward. I was just going to do
Yeah.
Hunger
I know. You will check me later.
No. Do you remember that? What that was about? Hunger Ward documentary.
It's all blur.
It's famine in Yemen. That's actually a pretty poignant one as well.
Yeah, it was, and it's a bit of a blur. But again, art's supposed to move you, and sometimes I even remember that if I don't like something, it's still moving me, which is kind of a funny thing to say. But
what's your most hated movie? Just sidebar.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Everybody loves.
I also don't like that movie, Robbie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Hate is a strong word, but movies that just didn't connect with me the way they did with other people. Rocky Horror. There was another one.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You and I are maybe movie soulmates.
Yeah. So some of the big ones. Footloose.
Footloose, I don't mind, but I remember watching like Ferris Bueller and being like, "Oh, he's very mean to his friend." Was all I took away from that. Like he was not very nice to his friend.
That's a good question, though. I should probably work on a better answer. But I can tell you the ones I love. But
yeah, of course. And then Rocky Horror. It's something my wife loves, and I just never understood the appeal. But I'm also very accepting that maybe I don't like the people that like that movie.
Yeah, well, it got like that to me because I'm a performer. I play in a band, and I love the Tragically Hip. But I'm kind of over the fact that people go hip, 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 because they want to hear a hip song, and I'm just like, I started to hate the Tragically Hip for that. Yeah. I went, wait a second, I don't hate the Tragically Hip.
I felt that same way about Dave Matthews Band as well.
Yeah.
I hate the people that like it, and as a result, it's very unfair. Like I could probably learn to love it, but it was just they've tainted it for me.
Like just so snooty. Oh my.
Yeah. Well, Robbie, good to know that.
And one of the reasons why I like some of the Southern rock stuff, because the people seem so genuine. Like they love the same with the heavy metal guys.
Yeah.
It's just like WWE. It's like wrestling. It's like, these guys are loyal.
That is not untrue, as I just saw WrestleMania this weekend, and it was good time. It was a good time.
Heavy metal is wrestling to me.
Agreed.
Right there.
So we have film editing now. The nominees were The Father, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7. What did you pick for that?
I picked The Trial of the Chicago 7. Not my favorite movie by a long shot, but there was some really tight editing, lots going on there. And I think the fact that there wasn't a lot of sets, a lot of it was in a single courtroom, you got to keep that moving.
That's a good point.
Yeah, truth be told, I'm a frustrated filmmaker. I'm a graduate of, some online courses in.
Oh, is that true? I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, yeah, and I've done a lot of product video for local dentists, and I've been, not short films, take it easy, but just product video, and I still want to do something myself, and of course through my daughter's career, I was on set with a lot of directors and filmmakers, so definitely, I'm a high-end amateur, if you will, but I have Final Cut Pro, which is an industry standard for editing, and I haven't even got going on it yet because I'm busy with other things. But so when I see the editing, I mean, in Chicago 7, it's like click. It's like that. That's how fast the editing is. Can you imagine being on the floor, like cutting that film? Just so that's why I give it to them.
I always view myself very much as on-screen talent, not so much behind the screen.
There you go.
Friends and Mark and I and some of our improv friends, we did the 48-hour movie festival, where you have to film, edit, and produce an entire movie in 48 hours and submit it like a short film. And I remember very poignantly, like we had finished the filming within the first 36 hours. And then we all went to bed. And the main guy, Charles, who does great, Charles Crawford, he had to edit the whole thing, which means taking all those separate pieces of video. And we took many of them to create a movie and like get it within the time. And he spent the next we probably spent 12 hours filming. He spent the next 24 after that just editing and editing and editing. And it's such a important part of a movie that I didn't really understand at the time.
Oh, editing is brutal, and especially when you have a timeline, and you always have a timeline. Like all the great artists, like Leonardo da Vinci, they were all commissioned. Those ceilings he was getting paid for, and it's brutal when you have a deadline. I would like to make my own film where I could, because I feel like I'm the kind of guy could keep a decent deadline. But when you're commissioned and the dentist wants a product video, it is a brutal process, which your friend could tell you about. I just did it for the band for St. Patty's Day.
Oh, cool.
Is it ready? Is it ready? Oh, and it's never ready. All you do with art is you abandon it.
Yep.
It's never done.
You just let it go, and then you just say, this is the best it's going to be for this moment right now.
Yeah. And did you know, a little caveat here, once your film wins, or maybe even once it's nominated for an Oscar, just really quickly, in The Godfather, there's a scene where Sonny Corleone is fighting his brother-in-law, and he clearly misses. You can see he misses the point. You can hear in the background. So the actor that plays Sonny Corleone's brother-in-law was on an interview lately. He's like 75 years old. And he said, I asked Francis Ford Coppola, the director, he said, why don't you fix that? It's just like it's silly that, in this day and age, like that. And he goes, oh, no. You're not allowed to alter a movie once it wins Best Picture. It's sealed. You can't ever touch it. It goes into the American Film Institute vault, if you will. But I don't know if this is just like a thing where you just don't do it. But he says you're not allowed to alter it and re-release it. It's sealed. Or if you re-release it, you have to say The Godfather,
remastered, remixed, whatever. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Because I was about to say, I'm pretty sure Star Wars was re-released 1,000 times.
It was, but if you
but it never won Best Picture. Actually, Annie Hall won that year. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. And I don't know if even in that case, because it was nominated, if it still applies. But anyways, I thought it was kind of neat.
Interesting. We'll go to international feature film. So
Yeah.
we have another round by Denmark, Better Days, Hong Kong, Collective, Romania, The Man Who Sold His Skin, Tunisia, and Quo Vadis Ida, which is Bosnia and Herzegovina. But going back to documentary feature, I think that was another reason I picked Collective, because it was also nominated for Best International Feature Film. So I thought I gave documentary that one. This one I picked Better Days, which I think deals with the Hong Kong democracy protests. I was following that via Reddit and just watching, we live in an age where I hope we'll never have to fight for our democracy. Have
you been there?
Last time I was in Hong Kong was probably 1992, so ages ago, right? But great city. But just the very fact that it was almost like they had 1 or 2 million protesters in Hong Kong Island is not big by any means, and they were just all over the streets. And it's just like, can you imagine bringing out 1 million people to a million protesters. Like that's how important democracy and fighting for the democracy was.
Incredible.
And they, I'd watch the Reddit clips of just like how organized they were, where the police would fire a canister and they would automatically put like a bowl over it, pour some milk in it, and automatically diffuse that like smoke canister. And they were just they knew exactly. And so I think this movie covers a lot of that. Maybe I'm wrong, by the way. Maybe it's about something different, but I did watch the trailer and I thought again that one just spoke to me.
Right. So I skipped meaning, checked out a little bit on YouTube, the others, but I chose another round because it was also nominated for directing.
Got it.
Which is pretty heavy to go from international feature film. But it's a Dutch film, which I don't really know that world. I hear great things about that area of the world. However,
this one with Mads Mikkelsen's in this one, right? So he was the Bond villain. He was Hannibal.
Right.
Yes, he's been in a lot of things.
So it was subtitled, so I didn't finish the entire movie, but I did watch a lot of it, and it held me. I thought it was good, so I chose another round. I think the fact that it's up for directing, again, with my head, I'm going to say it'll win international feature film.
Did you? I'm reading the synopsis. 4 friends, all high school teachers, test a theory that they will improve their lives by maintaining a constant level of alcohol in their blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's a movie that speaks to Rob Tyler Morin, from what I know about you, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. What he means, he's being ironic because I've never had an alcoholic beverage in my life.
Which again is shocking. Like even champagne or a sip of beer, like that is impossible. That sounds impossible. I believe you, of course.
Yeah,
that's remarkable.
No, it wasn't anything heavy. I just never really got into it. But
yeah,
I hate a dry crowd. I tell you when I'm performing.
That is true. We're on to makeup and hairstyling right now, and I picked Emma again. This was a very lazy pick, but I always find those period pieces are generally what the Academy likes for hair and makeup. What did you pick?
Well, this is getting into, I've seen a lot of them category.
Sure. You picked Ma Rainey.
Yeah, so Hillbilly Elegy, which was a film kind of over there that nobody really talked about. Can you look up the co-star of Hillbilly Elegy, E-L-E-G-Y, sorry, I'm commissioning.
Amy Adams, Glenn Close.
Yeah. So Glenn Close is Oscar actress in a supporting role nominated. But that aside, I thought Amy Adams should have gotten a nomination. I thought she was really good. There's only 5 in the category. So, anyways, back to the makeup. Glenn Close was unrecognizable. She was just really believable.
Oh, I wish I knew that.
Yeah, and Amy Adams is beautiful. I mean, she's hot. She's a really attractive girl, and she did the Monsters. What's Charlize Theron when she played Monster? Like she did that thing where she became this person who you're going, oh my God, look at her. She looked like.
I don't know if it's the pictures, but I wouldn't say unrecognizable. I would very much look at this picture and be like, that is Glenn Close in makeup. But
I think because we know them as being sort of regal and straight back and pretty and when you see them in these roles, you're going, wow, like they're really acting. Like,
you want to know, speaking of Glenn Close as unrecognizable, did you know, and I just did one of those random facts that stay with me, Glenn Close was actually in the movie Hook, the Peter Pan movie. He did it was very much a blink and you miss it cameo as a pirate.
Dustin Hoffman Hook?
That's the one. And just look up that picture, and that is an unrecognizable Glenn Close.
Good enough.
Look up Glenn Close Hook, and you're like, oh, okay. But fair enough. We'll see what happens.
They pulled those 2 actresses into an area where I was like, wow, look at them. Like, geez, they look like somebody, anyway.
We're on to musical score, which I imagine this is a category, the next 2 true to your heart. What did you pick for musical score?
Well, this is true to my heart because, just mute any movie and keep watching. It's just not the same thing.
Well, if you mute the movie, then you can't hear anything.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that you can still look at the picture and be blown away. But I think
that's fair.
But reversed, if you just listen to the soundtrack of any movie, well, I shouldn't say any movie, but certainly of Minari, it's moving. I can be moved by the music. I have many soundtracks. I have the music of John Williams, which it's just you feel like you're in a movie when you're driving around town because you put on. So for me, it was Minari because that film was very straight to my heart. That movie and the music was really that way as well.
I picked Soul.
You like that?
It's yeah. It was the Pixar one again. It's Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross,
Yeah.
and it for me and John Batiste as well. It's blows me away that Trent Reznor has had
Yeah.
this career revival as the innovator of industrial music, and that's on the mainstream. I'm sure there was people before him for industrial music, and then 9 Inch Nails, and he plays all his own instruments, went solo, did a thing with Bowie, and now he's reinvented himself as this like composer for scores, right? I think he always works with David Fincher. He did the Social Network music. Like
Yeah.
every time my wife and I are like, oh hey, Trent, or we'll be like, I wonder who did this soundtrack, and he does like TV scores as well, and we're always floored by those two working together. So
Oh yeah, in our industry, we call that guy the real deal.
yeah,
He, and I love the fact that he's doing that. I like diversity. Some people don't. You got a guy like Neil Young just kind of walks in, and that's who he is. Which it's great. That's what's great about the arts. But for me, on a personal level, when I see Trent Reznor doing that, I go, that is cool.
yeah.
And they can pull, people into another world and be successful as well. It's just
And so
reinvent.
much so, he was nominated twice. He was actually nominated for
He's a
Mank
real
and
deal.
this, right?
He's
And
a
that's
real
like an animated film, a black and white film, one set in the 1920s, one set in modern, and you just like you captured both movies perfectly. So I just think I think he's, again, this is a huge claim, but the amount we're starting to see his name, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be considered the modern day like John Williams, where I
Yeah.
think he's going to be nominated like almost every year with his
No,
scores now.
he's really good. My brother Marty, who's well read and well traveled and well movied, my big brother, he always said that local boys, Rush, which you and I touched on a couple times, could make movie soundtracks. I mean, now that Neil Peart's dead, whatever. But he says, like because they didn't love touring and they were that kind of prog rock, they could go there and just be commissioned and do a proper instrumental movie soundtrack. They have the chops to do it.
So a very there's actually a documentary that we saw at Hot Docs many moons ago, before Finn was born, about like some like music composition and like composing for scores. I
Yeah.
forgot. Did you ever see that one?
No, I watched it. It's called. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was so cool.
Wasn't it?
Just yeah, it was like some of the Christoph Beck and like James Horner. No, James Horner was dead at that point, but who's the one who did anyways, they had some major composers, and that movie floored me.
Yeah. No, it's-
Especially like, we're talking about, editing and like the last minute nature of it. Some are just like, yeah, we got this, 2 weeks before the movie was due. And so we had to just think of
Yeah.
it and just like watch the movie and somehow compose like a score for it that fits the theme. And you're right, like a good or bad score can absolutely bump up or bump down a movie a few points.
really like majorly can do that.
And it's like, I get why the people who are really good at this, like people keep going back to them.
Oh no, absolutely. We're oh man, I just lost my link because no, I got it back. Yeah, music is huge in film. Huge. In film.
What do you think is your favorite musical score from a movie?
Well, the classics like Raiders and Titanic, all the John Williams stuff. I think is.
I mean, Raiders, except for the main theme.
Yeah.
Can you hum another song from Raiders?
No. Like the classics, James Bond, like all that stuff.
But I'm saying, like, do you remember a movie that you're just like, oh, I have to buy this score? Titanic is a very good example. We all bought that Titanic soundtrack in 1997, and James Horner like outdid himself, and it was
And I'm not giving you very clever answers. I'd have to think about that a little bit because I know what you're talking about. Like if you think of Fargo has this ridiculously pompous. Like, meanwhile, it's just a standard $3 conversation. And then they got this. So Fargo.
Don't you know?
Yeah, don't you know? Yes.
For me, it's probably the most recent soundtrack I remember getting like top to bottom and loving was the Tron soundtrack by Daft Punk.
Okay.
Like it was that old Tron movie from like 2011 or 2010, and I remember being like, "Oh, I'll give this a try," and I loved it. It is still in my queue. We're just
and
like,
I know what you mean. You're not talking about the hit soundtrack song.
Yeah, we all have the hit song, but I'm saying like the whole soundtrack, top to bottom. I think Titanic and Tron, both start with T, are probably two of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're at music original song. We have
Kind of
"Fight
sad.
for You" from Judas and the Black Messiah, "Hear My Voice" from the Trial of Chicago 7, Husavik from the Eurovision Song Contest, IOC from the movie Life Ahead, and "Speak Now" from One Night in Miami.
Okay.
What did you pick?
I picked "Fight for You" because of the goosebump factor. and maybe it's the subject, but in the film that just all connected for me. The others were good. Hear My Voice, they're all good. Speak Now, I didn't really connect with One Night in Miami. It's another story, but I'm going to pick Fight for You music original song.
I picked Speak Now because obviously with everyone loving Hamilton and myself included, I really like the voice of Leslie Odom Jr. I think he's got just a phenomenal voice. But I think in preparation for this, I probably should have listened to Fight for You one more time because speaking along the idea of like the Oscars being very thematic of the previous year, yeah, that one probably hits closer to home. And yeah, I think I dropped the ball on that one. Should have done more research.
Just things that bother you, and then you hear the song, and you go, oh, it's just hit right, yeah.
We're on production design. I think I also choked on this one. I picked Ma Rainey, and I think I should have picked Mank.
Yeah, I picked Mank.
Yeah, of course you did.
Because it was all production design. The whole film.
I get it, Rob. You're better than I am, and I screwed up. All right, God. No, it's true. I think a lot of times production design I just kind of breeze through, and I should have taken half a beat because I just realized, yeah, Mank, you're right. It was all.
That's what it was.
Production design and then production design of production design. Like it was that there's an extra layer of production design as well.
Showing behind the scenes. Meanwhile, that was the shot. That wasn't really behind the scene. They were filming a behind the scene. Yeah, you can see all the pillboxes that the actors stand on, and it was all about.
I get it, Rob. You're better than I am. All right, you happy?
I might have scored a goal.
You're like, yeah. I think I just wanted to say that. You know what? I hope I beat you now on that one specifically. Short film animated. I saw Burrow. Burrow comes with Disney Plus, and that's a really cute one of I think it's a rabbit or a hamster who's trying to build his dream home underground and just like can't get his friends to help him. But the one I actually picked was actually the most simplistic one, and it's a bit of a gamble. I picked If Anything Happens, I Love You.
Okay, and I've went with my theme of those not born here cracking through, those that don't live here. I shouldn't say not born here, but those that just live in other places having to bring their art to the big, huge North America, which just for the record, North America with Canada, United States, Mexico, and all the Caribbean is only 8% of the world's population. 92% of us don't live here.
I was told the last German Unplugged with Shannon there's a Nollywood, which I think is like a Nigerian Hollywood.
Okay.
Like very similar to Bollywood. And I was like, I've never heard of this. And she's like, oh my God, you're missing out on this whole subgenre of movies.
But I mean, I meant in terms of actual population. Only 8% of us live in North America.
Oh, I believe that too, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's incredible how wrapped around we are and everything's here. And it's like, guys.
It's unfair though. If India, China is almost half the world's population too, or at least a third of it. So I mean, take that under,
Meanwhile, Farah Nabulsi and Osama Bawardi, crack through this little size of a piece of rice film, and I go, wow, look at that.
Hey, which one are you talking about?
The Present.
We're on short animated.
Short film live action?
Oh, we're on short animated.
Well, that's even better. Short film animated. Yes, People.
Yes, People
was my choice.
So I actually watched If Anything Happens, I Love You. And it's literally like a 30-second film, but it's about school shootings and the way parents deal with a school shooting. And I remember, so again, I was going to pick Burrow because I was like, oh, Burrow was a really cute movie. I really liked it. And then I remember I saw If Anything Happens, I Loved You because it took 2 seconds to look up the movie. I was like, oh, it's 30 seconds or whatever. And we're both parents and I was just floored by it. And it made, you talk about eliciting, an emotional response. That 45 seconds, it was a gut punch, Rob. And so I was just like, even if it doesn't win, I'm glad the Oscars made me kind of watch this movie. And I was like, that was incredible.
Well, the late, great Roger Ebert once was on his show, and he had been going on and on how a certain short film, animated, had not been nominated. And then the following week, to his credit, he says, listen, I got to say something. I did watch the other 5 films that were nominated, and they're all amazing. Amazing is like that word gets overused, but they're very, very well done. I guarantee you that all 5 of these films are very, very good. So
yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you say, well, that one sucked.
But that gut punch, I was just like, no, I will. Yeah.
No, that's a great reason I chose Yes, People, just because I was flipping through,
right?
And But yeah, I'll give it to you on if anything.
No,
happens.
we'll see what happens. So now we jumped ahead now to short film live action. You picked Feeling Through, The Letter Room, The Present, Two Distant Strangers, and White Eye. You picked
Yeah.
which one did you pick?
Yeah, I already blabbed about it just because I thought how.
No, you picked it. Sorry, you remind me. The Present you picked, right?
Correct.
I picked The Letter Room. I forgot. Oh, because it had what's his name, Oscar Isaac in it.
Okay.
Oscar Isaac from Inside Llewyn Davis. He's from the new Star Wars movie. He's like a really good actor. And for me, I just feel the Academy is going to go with the movie that had a bit of star power in it. And I think that's why I picked that. And it's always funny too, by the way. These are all like Oscar nominated films. But when you look at the IMDb numbers, they're not well received.
Right.
A lot of them aren't. Like,
you gotta wonder how they get cracked into that list. I mean, there's 10,000 of these things that are out there.
It's the studios that submit them, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. So if you have proper representation or strong representation, you can get that.
But for me, it's always this huge disparity between like the critical response versus the public response, right? IMDb, you do a user login and then you submit your score. And like The Letter Room, for example, one of the top 5 short films according to the Oscars of last year, only got a 6.9.
Right.
And I'm sure I could find like Lethal Weapon got a 6.9. And you're like, really? Like these are like, it's just the weird thing. The way we rate things is always very fascinating to me.
Yeah. And we'll talk about like the big films or the big
ones.
Yeah. And how they get pushed out there. But enough about Mank.
Sound, we had Greyhound, Mank, News of the World, Soul, and Sound of Metal. I picked Sound of Metal.
Yeah, I can get into this. Sound of Metal for sure. It was disturbing. It really hit home for me. You and I spoke about it briefly yesterday, but there were some inaccuracies in it. 2 being that the amount of hearing loss he experienced was not. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't go that fast. I mean, it did. Maybe somebody right now out there would be saying, no, it can. Although somebody I live with said that it doesn't work that way. And then the fact that he was pressured into choosing. I'm ahead to my film. I shouldn't be doing this because we should be doing this. But how he said either you come to do a lifestyle without it, or you do a lifestyle with it, with the
cochlear implants.
So, anyways, but as far as the sound of metal and the sound in the Sound of Metal, it was haunting.
I forgot. So my mom had lost like 50% of her hearing by the time I was in like my adolescence. So I was like 12 and she had lost 50%. I don't know if it was sudden or if it happened over time. And I had read a few things about this movie before I'd even seen it. I think I was one of the first Oscar movies I saw this year. And I think I even said during one of our pre-chats, like, oh, you gotta check out The Sound of Metal. Like, it's really, really good. And apparently like people are saying that the way it mimics how a cochlear implant, like you actually hear through that, it was actually very accurate. And, it gave me more understanding of what my mom hears now, of how she hears the world.
Horror film for me. My mother also had really bad hearing.
Right.
But to just say that this guy went through this and for what he did for a living, because he was a drummer in a rock band. And I mean, it's different if you're sorting mail at the post office, like you just sort your mail. I mean, not taking anything away from those guys. But I'm just saying it's not as, you play in a band, you play music. And so it was horrific for me to think of that.
Right.
I was thinking, can you imagine that?
You looked at it through the lens of being a band nerd yourself.
I did.
I meant musician. We're on to visual effects. We both picked Tenet.
Visual effects?
Yeah.
No, I picked Mulan.
Over Tenet?
Well, okay.
Are you crazy?
I probably am. We will see what happens.
Mulan, I guess Mulan had like that lady who turned into a bird or whatever. I just think, listen, Tenet was the one movie that kind of like kept the movie industry alive, allegedly. It didn't even do that well, but it was the first movie kind of released during pandemic. And although I absolutely think it is one of Christopher Nolan's weakest efforts, because I think it got too swallowed by its own story. The effects were incredible.
Okay, there it is.
Did you see Tenet or no?
No, it's just the trailer, which I'm putting on now again.
Okay. Yeah, this one I feel fairly confident
Looks
about.
great. Okay. Yeah.
Of course, watch me like go over 30 now after what's said and done. Writing, we're adapted screenplay.
Yes.
My instinct was to go Nomadland, but I ended up going with The Father.
Yeah.
What did you go with?
I went with Nomadland, but I think your pick is good. I chose Nomadland before I saw The Father.
Got it.
But I would probably still stick with Nomadland, actually, because I thought it was a little bit more.
Boring.
No, I just thought it was a little bit more innovative.
Drudging.
The fact that they pulled out a story, like, the way to me it was just a little bit more innovative. It was a bigger feat to get me to like, or to get me to move me for Nomadland. The Father, that vehicle just floored.
It was heart-wrenching. No, I think Nomadland will win. I think this is one of the times where I was trying to just outsmart the masses, because I thought the masses would pick Nomadland, and I just find a lot of times the Academy is like, no, this is the one that should have it. So, but there's a reason these movies are nominated for like 1,000 Oscars. It's because like whatever, right?
Yeah, Borat falls into the can't find my words this morning, but into the the category of comedy, which we know is very difficult to the Oscars. We just don't think of the Oscars as being funny. They're always dramatic. Everything we've talked about so far has like moved me. It was amazing, or it was haunting. So Borat, I just see it nominated there, but good for him.
I also don't see, like, again, they had like 12 writers or however many writers, and I remember just watching that movie and it was fine. I laughed, I chuckled, but I definitely thought Borat 1 was a much stronger effort.
I walked away from Borat halfway through, and then with Lisa, I mean, there's some scenes in there, where my daughter was pregnant. She like lifted her. I was like, oh, didn't work. But I did come down after Lisa went to bed, put the headphones on, and finished it. And the second half was better.
Right.
But
when did you become a prude, Robbie? Huh?
Good for you. Good for you for throwing that at me. You're probably.
No, I get it. It's not for everyone, for sure. Finally, we have, before we hit the big ones, writing original screenplay. I think Promising Young Woman's going to win, and I actually would support that, but I actually picked Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, for me, it was Minari. For sure. I thought that was really the subtleness in that writing. And maybe I just got caught up in the acting, but for me, it was Minari. I liked Judah and the Black Messiah. We'll get into that. Promising Young Woman, can't help you there. Although it was.
You didn't care for that, huh?
No, it was good. It was kind of like, this is kind of a cute movie. Oscar nominated?
Yeah, for me, I don't know. Like, if we're talking about, like, you know what?
We'll get into the lady.
Right. Go to the very top of your page, because now we're going to go into the supporting, and then the lead, and then director and movie. So we'll start best supporting actress, or
Actor in the leading role is the first one I see.
Just go down to the next one.
There you go. Actress in a leading role.
So yes, crap. I didn't really research this one too much, and apparently Glenn Close completely transformed herself. But I picked Olivia Colman from The Father.
Okay, so you're talking about actress in a
supporting role. Yes.
Got it. I chose Glenn Close in Hillbilly Elegy. What the heck?
You saw the whole movie, correct? You saw that movie?
Yes. Why are you laughing?
No. Because again, you had spoken so passionately about just the makeup transformation and how she's unrecognizable that of course you picked that. And I was just saying before, I was like, I didn't know all this. I didn't watch Hillbilly Elegy, and so I'm sure if I did, I probably would have picked Glenn Close. But for me, it was just like The Father came out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't on anybody's really kind of list of things, and so I just think that the Academy fell in love with it for a reason, and that I started giving it more awards than it maybe warranted, because I don't think it was the best picture this year. And so because of that, I put Olivia Colman. Well, and I think Glenn Close has also won Oscars before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she's right up there with Meryl Streep. But I loved Olivia Colman in The Father. I would be proud if she won. And I also loved, Yoo Jung-yoon in Minari. Am I close?
I don't know. I think
no.
phonetically pretty close.
Her name. Yeah, I thought she was great as the grandmother. I thought the lady who played the wife could have been actress too. But so for me, Olivia Colman or Glenn Close, but I went with Glenn Close. That young lady, Maria Bakalova, in Borat, I don't know. Maybe she deserves
You know,
it.
I think this was very, very much a launching point for her, and good for her for getting the nod. But I don't think the Academy is that supportive of comedies that they would give her over
No.
the other performances.
Yeah, it'll be Olivia Colman or Glenn Close.
We'll do actor in a supporting role.
Actor in a supporting role.
This one was just pure gut for me. I went Daniel Kaluuya
Yeah,
from Judas and the Black Messiah. I think just his portrayal was of Fred Hampton was just so good, and it was incredible.
I agree. Did you see him host SNL on the weekend?
I didn't know.
Okay, so that's when I went, this guy's cool. Because again, he was so funny. He was so fast. He was self-deprecating. He was great. And I said, look at this guy. This guy's cool. You know, he laughed about some of the heaviness around the movie. He didn't laugh at it, but, you know, he was just great. I thought, this guy's cool. And I loved his performance. And it's really different from him hosting SNL.
Yeah.
But,
Did you see Get Out when it came out? This horror movie, Get Out?
Oh, with him?
Yeah.
With Daniel? No, I did not.
Because I think, like, I also feel, I'm not sure if I don't think he was nominated, but I was like, I think that was a missed opportunity too, because he was very good in that too. Where I was like, you should have got something for that. But
you know what? Sacha Baron Cohen is a heavy guy. He moved the needle on comedy. He came up with something that was sort of a.
Sorry, he was nominated for best actor for Get Out. Withdrawn. He was. I'm just.
So you know, my long shot. Wouldn't it be nice to see? He's like sort of the Jim Carrey. You know, who would get nominated, but he would never win, or sometimes not even get nominated.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, for me, Sacha Baron Cohen, that would be. I would say, wow, look at that. Yeah, I saw Sound of Metal and Lakefield Stanfield. I don't know. For me, it's Daniel Kaluuya.
I actually think I picked Daniel, but I think who's going to win is Paul Raci, from what I hear of the buzz of Sound of Metal. And just I would not be upset either way.
Yeah, he was good.
You know,
he was definitely. I mean, Helmet. He looked freaked out for the whole movie.
Yeah,
he was definitely. You know, he did a great job. He's also the guy. He played drums. He must be a drummer. He must be a musician.
He is the brother of someone famous.
Tons of actors are musicians, and
no. He's the brother of a very famous musician. Am I getting that correctly?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I might have made that up, but I just heard a story of him, and I probably made that up. Withdrawn. All right, moving on. Let's do best actor now. And I picked Chadwick Boseman.
Yes.
Right. Not just because he died, though. Unfortunately, I think that that very much sways a lot of the Academy. But just again, I'm watching the movie tonight. But from the clips that I've seen, and from what I hear, like in terms of quote unquote buzz, he was just top notch in that movie.
He was. I did like him again. It moved me. I went with Anthony Hopkins. Pretty much think he's going to win because he's Anthony Hopkins, and so it was a brilliant performance. But yeah, Chadwick could do it. And after that, again, Stephen Yeun in Minari. I didn't think he was the best actor of the three mains. Of the wife, I thought was the best, and then the grandmother, then him. But still, yeah, I mean, he got an actor. Wow, he got the nomination for that. That's huge. So good for him.
I think Riz Ahmed is also going to be I think he already is a very incredible actor with a wide breadth of work. I first saw him in that miniseries from HBO. Did you watch that, The Night Of?
No.
It's called The Night Of. It was just like a self-contained miniseries on HBO. So if you have Crave, check it out. And that was a gut-wrenching miniseries of Crave. Yeah. And just very quick, I won't even say anything because I think we watched it blind, and
I've watched a lot of your suggestions. I've watched a lot.
We came back every week being like, what happens next? But it was so tense and really good. And finally, I guess we both picked Frances McDormand for actress in leading role.
Yeah, I saw all these performances.
You saw Pieces of a Woman?
I did not, and I'll tell you why. I did not see that.
I don't know why you're lying to me on my show right now.
I know, I just said I saw them all. But listen, I saw all the best pictures, all the best actors in the leading role, all the best actors in a supporting role.
Don't lie to me, sir. Sir, don't lie to me on my show.
Actress in the lead role. So actress in the lead role, I chose Frances McDormand. However, the reason why I didn't watch Piece of Woman because did you watch it? You know what it's about?
No.
Yeah, the lady, the young lady, loses her baby, and my daughter we just had our first grandchild.
It was too close.
But you know what? I don't want to watch this movie about how this baby dies. So that's why.
Totally. No. Again,
which is not fair for the role, but wholly unprofessional. But
we are not professional critics, so I wouldn't worry too much.
so Frances McDormand all the way for Nomadland.
Yeah. Again, I didn't even like the movie, and I understood the impact that she had. I'm curious, has Viola Davis ever won an Oscar? Because she's one of those actresses where I'm always like, she's incredible. Also has the same birthday as me.
She gets a lot of airtime, and she was great. She was great, so she could win.
Oh, she won Best Supporting, I think, in Fences.
Yeah, what was the one for
Fences with Denzel?
Was it? So what was she the one in?
She was in Ma Rainey.
The Nassau? No. Was she also the Nassau one?
Promising something.
Yeah, where they wouldn't even let them use the washrooms. They had to go to the.
I don't think she was. Hold on, Viola Davis. Let me go back.
No.
I don't think she was.
No.
Oh, maybe she was. Hold on. IMDb.
Getting my lead actresses mixed up.
This is great movies. This is great video right now. Me searching on the interwebs. We'll go on for now. I will look up.
Please.
I'm here now. Hold on.
Actress in the leading role, Rob says.
Because that was a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She was in Suicide Squad, Scandal. No, she was not one of the leads of that movie.
Okay. And what was your pick for actress in the leading role?
Frances McDormand.
Okay.
Again, I didn't like the movie, but even I can understand the craft behind it. So yeah. We'll go to.
Are we here? We
go to directing and then best movie.
Even
and
better.
I think the Academy it's virtually the same. Like, it's alphabetical. It's virtually the same award. I always feel of directing a best. But the Oscars, the past few years, when I was thinking, have split them up.
Yeah, how can you award one without the other?
Correct, right? But I think it's just a way for them to hedge their bets of being like, these were both really good movies, so you get one, you get one. So I picked for directing Minari, Lee Isaac Chung. Again,
I did too.
It's either that or Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. Of the ones for that, did you watch Another Round? I didn't watch that.
Another Round.
Directing Thomas Vinterberg.
I did not. That's the Dutch subtitle one.
Oh, the one you were saying. Right.
Yeah, which was good. So I did watch it. Ish. I watched it ish.
Yeah. I just think it's going to go to an Asian director. Again, not to be this guy, but unfortunately the Academy factors in social things going on in the world. And right now there's a lot of anti-Asian racism. And I think that will also play into their calculus. By the way, I also think he was the best director of this bunch. I don't want to take away of he didn't get this only because he was Asian, but I think it also helps that he is Asian as well.
Just going to say, I agree with what you just said all the way around, because my picks for best director is Lee Isaac Chung and Chloe Zhao. Those are my two, either from Minari or Nomadland. And yes, there's the Asian social factor. So to me, it's going to be one of those. I'm going to go with Lee Isaac Chung. I saw an interview with her and how they sort of flew that all in. But I also saw a really good interview with Chloe Zhao. That was a coin toss. I went with Minari. I might go with Chloe Zhao. So.
I'm excited to see what she's gonna do. So she's the director of the next big Marvel movie, The Eternals.
Wow.
And somehow these Marvel people, they seem to get a lot of these cutting edge directors before they get the Oscar nods. Because I think she had just finished The Eternals and then she got nominated. Yeah. So it's gonna be very exciting to see her work going forward. Just because I didn't like that specific movie doesn't mean I don't respect the craft and the work that went behind it. Right.
Kind of like when the studio got lucky because they filmed Liar Liar and Home Alone. sorry. No. Uncle Buck and Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin.
Yep.
So they had Uncle Buck in the can. Home Alone comes out and it's Home Alone.
Yeah.
One of the biggest films ever.
So you're able to put out Uncle Buck afterwards and get the rub.
$50,000 for Uncle Buck, and then they got the release and they put him on the cover. But yeah.
By the way, Uncle Buck was a good movie too.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I loved John Candy in that movie. He was good.
Now here we go. Robbie, think it's the coup de grace now, the best picture. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I forgot what I picked up until the point where I scrolled to this, and I decided to go with the underdog on this one. What did you? I think you picked Minari, right?
Well, hold on a second. Hold on.
I absolutely went underdog on this one, and that is surprising of me.
For our viewers, if I may, it's your show. But if I
Wait,
may,
no, please, I insist.
so Best Picture is The Father.
Yep.
Judah and the Black Messiah, otherwise known as Judas and the Black Messiah. Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. So those are the 8 pictures that were nominated, and kudos to all of them for getting nominations. Unbelievable. Yep. Okay. So I did pick Minari.
Right. And of course, really good film, cool message. For me, it wasn't my favorite movie this year, though. And I literally went with what was my favorite movie. Like, what did I think was the best movie?
You enjoyed, you were entertained by it.
And for me, it's like it was actually the two underdogs. My favorite movies this year were probably, like, after I watched them, I just sat there kind of numb, kind of just like, it elicited that emotional response from me. Sorry, the 3 were Judah and the Black Messiah, Promising Young Woman, and Sound of Metal. So I didn't go with Judah and the Black Messiah. I thought because of the acting awards I had given it previously that was going to be enough for that movie. Promising Young Woman, again, I don't know what about that movie really hit me.
Yeah, it was good. Don't get me wrong.
It's really just a giant, like, dark comedy revenge flick, if you think about it. And I think if it came a year prior, it would have actually done a lot better with all that Me Too stuff. Like, and I'm not saying Me Too is gone. Unfortunately, it's still around, and we still have to work towards, righting that ship. But it was very much more in the spotlight in 2019.
Yeah,
right?
Social Rhythms, where you're Me Too into...
Correct. So now we're in BLM and now anti-Asian racism.
And it's all still relevant. We're not saying that.
Right. But it's just right now the focus and the highlight, where the zeitgeist is. For me, I picked Sound of Metal. Sound of Metal, it was something about that movie, and it just...
haunting.
Man, and it could have just been, I think it was like the first one of the 8 we saw this year. Actually, no, I think we saw Trial of Chicago 7. That was a Netflix film. And I didn't even think that, I thought it was a good movie, but by no means did I think it was the best movie of this year. And I really like, what's his name too? The guy who wrote it and directed it. Aaron
Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin. I'm generally a sucker for Aaron Sorkin content.
Yeah, no, I am too. And we can speak to that maybe if because it's the big one and it's the last one, go through each one. So if we start at the bottom with The Trial of the Chicago 7, directed by Aaron Sorkin. I already said this to you, but for our viewers at home, it was just, I'm a fan of Aaron Sorkin. I love The American President. I love The West Wing. Although it was dated after you and I got on council, you said, "Oh, The West Wing." I said, "I'm going to watch it again." And I was surprised how dated it felt. Going back, it was almost like, oh, it's just too dated. Like, it just, anyway, still loved it at the time, still love it now. But it was way too wordy. Oh, it was just like a bath of words. It was just like, Aaron, stop. And he does that. That walking and talking and going into different rooms with the handheld. Yeah. So for me, that's what the problem was. I was just burnt. I was like, okay, stop. But it was a good film, though. But that was my thing on The Trial of Chicago 7.
Yeah, I actually agree with you I didn't realize what I didn't like about it. And you're right. Like, it worked for Social Network.
Yes.
Because Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg spoke in that quick staccato, and that actually really worked for that movie. But you're right. Like, none of the characters should have been that big talker. And it was, you're right. It was actually like one of those weird things.
I think it would have been a little bit more poignant if he just cleaned it up a bit, like just a little bit less. It would have just been, yeah. Then we can go to Sound of Metal. This is your show. Go ahead.
No, please. Again, this is a conversation, Robbie.
Okay, so Sound of Metal, I did like, but it moved me, which is what art's supposed to do, and I found it haunting. Was I entertained? I really loved it. Kind of, but it was good. It was a good film.
It made me want to learn ASL. I remember I looked up like ASL classes like immediately afterwards because I'm just like, why don't I learn a second language? Like, my Cantonese is gone. I don't really have much of it except to order in a Chinese restaurant. But yeah, like I was just like, I should pick up ASL and just be that Kessler who can sign, and unfortunately nothing came of it afterwards. But it was that last scene where he just took the breath, and you and I are pretty frenetic people. We have a very frantic energy about us. It's just who we are.
Yeah.
And every so often I will have a moment where I can take that breath and just put the phone down and not be connected and not be blabbering someone's ear off as I'm wont to do. And I think you are as well, and just like turn off and just like appreciate wherever I'm in. It could be in a field, it could be in driving, just like that state of Zen. And like that moment at the end, just, I don't know, like I still remember like him looking around the park and just like taking that breath that, his mentor told him.
It really did end the roller coaster ride that we went through it. And it was just
with
like,
him. Yeah.
It goes like that straight away at the end.
Well, it's like, it's not even the hearing that was like the issue. It was just his energy. Like, I don't like, obviously the hearing was a big part of it, but just he had to learn to not chase the next thing, like he just had to learn to just stop and smell the roses, so to speak, right?
Stop and smell the roses. And I got a quick interlude. So again, you and I can bring up things that are a little bit. So when we were doing the renaming of the street, Langsdorff, remember that? So there was,
very controversial.
It was controversial. I mean, it was in our little town. It was a big thing, and it meant a lot to a lot of people. So whatever. And those for and against it, which I respect. So I thought I had been digging at it all day, and I spoke to the mayor and I spoke to you, and I said, you know what, I got to get out of my office. So I said, I'm going to go on a walk. So I put in my ears, okay, my these things, and I started listening to my audiobook, pouring over 52 hours. He already knows where I'm going to go with this, on the Winston Churchill thing. And I get out, just started my walk, and the birds are going, and he goes, and the Graf Spee went into the Atlantic. What the hell? And Langsdorff was vicious in his attack on the Allies. I go, Jesus, I'm trying. Literally.
What are the odds? That's hilarious.
I'm not making that up. And it's 52 hours, and it went into the minute and 40 seconds where they talked about it. Anyway, there you go.
It's you know what? Like, it's so funny. Like, COVID has given this opportunity to like do this sort of thing, go on walks. Right? Because it's probably good for our mental health, and we have more time in a sense. And it's so funny. Like I bring this up because like right now I moved my office to the basement. So, I have a green screen behind me, and it's just, I'm stuck in this basement, and I'm pretty much stuck in this basement from the morning till about 4:45 when I go pick up Finn. I have a gym here, so I do some workouts. I do back to my computer.
You're in jail.
I'm pretty much in jail. And I saw on Instagram you went on this like 5K walk around your neighborhood. Right? I think it was around your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything to you, but I was just like, I saw that. I was just like, I was inspired by that. Because I'm just like, why don't you just go for a walk? You can still listen to things. And it's just like, I think it's probably good for you. So it's just like
mentally. And I did it in the rain. I put on my raincoat, and Lisa goes, it's raining. I said, no, that's where I want to go. Because Trudeau, the long walk in the snow, right? When he decided to leave. Not that I'm leaving. But,
So I'm definitely going to start taking more just walks. They're good for me. It's good for mental health. But just like I my personality, it's very much from when I was a kid, of just like, I was always in front of a screen. My parents were working parents, and I just, I was always in front of the TV. And then once the internet came, I was always in front of the computer. So I'm actually very comfortable. I could actually be in front of my computer 18 hours and not break a sweat, right? But I also just realized that, it's not good overall. So I just want to let you know that your Instagram post absolutely inspired me to.
I love that.
Go on more walks.
After your walk, you'll feel like the ending of Sound of Metal. Like, that's
don't build it up now. Now there's expectation.
No. But I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's a good point of the movie that I kind of forgot about, and that's good that you brought that up.
Yeah,
you're right. Okay, if we go to Promising Young Woman, let's talk about that.
Again, I just loved the story. And I think it's like, listen, like, I think I mentioned on a previous episode of just like, I had dated like just at least 3 of the girls I dated had a Me Too moment in their lives. Some of it way worse than others. And like, it was like, and so I was aware of like Me Too in a sense, like before all these brave people started coming up with their stories. I was just like, and I was like, it's heart-wrenching that anyone has to go through this. And like, in a sense, movies and everything, like they encourage this behavior. Like, if I think it was like a scene of Porky's or Revenge of the Nerds, and like someone's asleep, and you know what I'm saying? Like and I get it's of the time, blah blah blah, but it's just like all this behavior that's been normalized and all these stories that are coming out now. It spoke to me that, you know, even fictionally, it was standing up and just saying like, stop this behavior. And again, they looked at it at all angles. They all weren't this like sexual predator type
Mean guy. No.
person in a trench coat, like looking. They, you know, all the guys, they picked all these like comedians and all these like affable guys intentionally, you know, and then just to hammer home that point that it's not just like some, you know, frat guy. It's like everyone, there's all these, these predators come in all shapes and
Different
sizes.
shapes and sizes, yeah.
And that really spoke to me.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. The fact it was empowering to the woman. I love and the fact that she took care of business. It was like, this is cool. And
even her boyfriend, you know, was like complicit in the act as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's you know, like I'm glad I was not raised to be like that, or I didn't consume like you know, to turn out that way. Like, and it's just I couldn't put it more. It's just like that movie just was like awesome for me. But for me, like it didn't have that end moment that Sound of Metal had, that gave me this sense of
well, spoiler alert. Let's not tell everybody what she does at the end. Finally.
Right.
But I can say that it was empowering, which I like for women. I found it entertaining. Like we're kind of painting it as dark. It was light in a sense. Certainly not that subject matter. But Carey Mulligan, the lead, she's heavy. If you look at her IMDb, she's done a lot of work, and she's deserving of this nomination for an actress in a leading role. And she really did a good job. So I thought the movie was empowering to women. I have 3 daughters. I have Lisa. I have very powerful women in my life. Marilyn Crawford.
the most powerful of all. Shout out to Marilyn Crawford.
Yeah. So my point being is this movie for me, it was one of those movies where I went, who's that? Who is the girl? We all do that, right? We know her. She's been in about like where you're like, wow, that was number 1. And number 2, you know, so-and-so's got to see this. And so-and-so's seen this. It was good. I like the fact that she kicked ass.
Yeah.
And it was time that story got told. And it wasn't campy. It wasn't.
No,
like,
that's the thing. It was artistically done. So I'm glad it was nominated.
It wasn't over the top. Yeah, where she burned the house down and don't ever do it. It wasn't like that.
Did you watch the SNL with her?
I'm sure I did. I don't remember it though.
So she's married to the Mumford guy.
Oh, she is married to. Oh, that's her. That's right.
Yeah.
Today. I'll be okay. I haven't missed an SNL in my whole life, so of course I watched it, and he was in the audience.
And I didn't know that Mumford was British.
Oh, I did.
Oh, I'm sure you did. You're a big music guy.
Yeah, we
and
do.
So I just happened to watch like her monologue, and then he pops in, and then he was speaking with this British accent, and I was like, is he making fun of her accent? And then I looked her up. I looked him up. No, obviously. And it's like, oh, British folk. And so I turned to Amanda in bed. I'm just like, did you know Mumford's British? She's like, no. I guess like their music sounds just very like I would folksy Americana, right?
Well,
is the way I always heard
Celtic. They sound Celtic, British, Irish to me.
That makes sense. So, anyways, that was a big.
Like on St. Patty's Day, we played Mumford and Sons.
Of course you do.
Minority.
Yeah, you have to. No, we'll go Nomadland. We've already said it. Like, it wasn't our favorite. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't my favorite movie by any means. I think it was just not a very It was a very nice to look at, not interesting movie for me.
Sure. Yeah, Lisa didn't love it. I just thought they made something out of nothing, and that means a lot to me. Like the fact that it was mundane. That was the whole point of it. And the fact you went, oh, look at this slice. We don't really get to look into this world, this lens much. And wow, there's actually people out there. There's a whole world out there. And the subtleness of not really the boyfriend, the guy with the beard.
David Strathairn.
Yeah, you could tell he liked her. He played the Carm Soprano's boyfriend in The Sopranos. That guy.
He's been in a lot. He's in one of my favorite movies, Sneakers. You ever seen the movie Sneakers with Robert Redford and Ben Kingsley?
Yeah, back in the day.
He played a blind guy in that.
Yeah, but can you believe that guy was acting? I had to look it up and going, oh, that's him. Like,
well, you had to look it up because some of the people in that movie were not actors.
But they weren't. And Frances McDormand, you know the story, I already told you. She said to the director, don't tell everybody I'm Frances McDormand from Fargo and I won an Oscar. Don't say anything. I'm just here to work. And apparently many of them didn't know it was Frances McDormand, maybe because they didn't even know Frances McDormand. And she didn't even wear it until the end. They said, you know who that is? And that's how heavy that was. And same with him. So, well,
honestly, I mean, this movie's fresh in our minds, but like, if you had asked me last year to point out Frances McDormand from a woman, like a lot of women who kind of look like Frances McDormand, I'm not 100% sure I could have picked out Frances McDormand.
well, did you love Fargo?
I liked Fargo. I didn't love it, but just like that movie was also 1996 as well.
No,
Like,
it goes way back. I know it's very current for me.
25 years later, again, I'm not sure I'm gonna put it out Frances McDormand.
No, but Fargo can come out today as is.
Yeah, agreed.
As is. Minari.
Great movie. It was. Yeah, I love the grandma. I love the kid. It's that thing where it's just like, as soon as like my wife saw the grandma take out the garbage or whatever, like start burning the garbage, she was like, "Uh-oh," and I was like, "What?" She's like, "It's gonna happen," and then you start feeling that anxiety of it happening.
Same here. She was going to burn down their little home, and it didn't happen. Spoiler alert.
And then I don't know, like I looked up water diviner, like that stick that finds water, because that's what they ended up using. They use the guy with the stick at the end, right?
No, she took the last laugh. The grandmother was heavy. Yeah.
No, but like at the end, like the whole point is like they're still gonna build their family even in spite of this. And they went to the guy with the stick to actually get the well. And I was kind of like, doesn't that work? Like, so I had to look up water diviners because every time I see it, I'm always like, there's no science to this, is there?
Yeah. So for me, and again, a lot of this we've already discussed, is I grew up here, in Ajax. I grew up in Scarborough. I moved here. So I'm from here. Like I only lived 16 kilometers to the west and I moved here.
Right.
I've traveled a little bit, not as much as I wanted to. Everything east of the Mississippi, if you look at a map, everything, like from the north all the way down into the Caribbean, Mexico, and some of the west. But when I see other families growing up and I look at them, and I often, for me anyways, I think, I wonder what their experience is. Can you imagine if I was dropped into the middle of Greece, or if I was dropped into the middle of, wherever in the world, Mumbai or something. And now I'm looking at this and I went, I love this because it was really through the eyes of that family looking at me. So, those guys that said, "Hey, where are y'all from?" and come, I mean, I'm not that, but still. And there's
you are that. You just don't know. You are that, bro.
Although I said to Ashmead, I want to take him to a Toronto Maple Leaf hockey game. And he went, "I would love that."
You can't get tickets. That's the problem.
No, I know that wasn't like me saying, "Hey, take it to the ballpark, kid."
Yeah. But
anyways, that was my thing, and it went right to my heart. And I just thought the struggle in the eyes of that woman, the mother, you could see she was the one, not the mother, not the old lady, but the wife.
No, yeah,
the two little kids. You could see in her eyes, like the father had his thing and the grandmother had her thing, but that woman who played the mother, you could see in her eyes, she's going, "God, I hope this works. Like, I'm so worried for my kids. I want them to be dignified. I want them to be, love their family, do well." Like, I just went, wow, look at that right there in front of me. I thought it was brilliant. I really did. It moved me.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't get Best Picture. I think it was also some gaming as well, where I was confident everyone was going to pick Minari or Nomadland, and I wanted to like try and outgame people. And I also, again, I still liked Sound of Metal the best. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it was good.
Mank
was Mank. My kids say, "Oh, that was Mank." They say that. So
I've not heard that as slang, but then again, I am almost 40, so that is not surprising.
So out of fairness for the film, it was well done, and everything else. But it's just, I think what got to me and you was that it's one of those ones saying, "Okay, here's our Oscar pick. We're going to put in, Gary Oldman, and so it's just straight to the 10 Oscar nominations." I'm going, yeah, I know you're supposed to be the Oscar pick, but for me, I thought it was really irrelevant.
Has he won one?
I know he's been nominated when he played JFK. I think he was nominated for.
He was nominated for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, I think, as well. But did he win an Oscar? Academy Award for Best Actor in Leading Role. Wait, which one was that? Oh, Darkest Hour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for Winston Churchill.
Speaking of which, okay, so he's won one. I don't know, like I love Gary Oldman as an actor. Like literally everything he does is so different from his previous role.
Did he win for Darkest Hour? He won it.
He won for Darkest Hour, so I'm okay for him not winning for this one.
Well, Mank, I think as a film was just
stank.
I don't.
Stank.
I'll go. Yeah.
Judas and the Black Messiah. I loved the acting, but I remember getting sucker punched too when you found out that that guy killed himself after that interview.
Yeah. So for me, Judah and the Black Messiah was another one of those. Yeah. I know I'm supposed to be moved by this. I got it. So sometimes like the subject matter, you got to think of it objectively. Of course, the subject matter means so much. But again, we're talking about the actual movie itself. For some reason, when it was over, I was kind of like, like I get it. What I Wikipedia the subject, I was more moved by that.
Right.
Because, like the whole movement at the time was considered like, these guys are just being a-holes. They're just being difficult. And when you see what came out of that and what they were actually going for, you're going, wow, like that was so relevant. That was so it was good. It was okay. I wasn't entertained.
For me, it was like, again, like I mentioned this in a previous episode of this podcast, of just like, they don't teach us the Black Panthers in Canadian history, right? So unless you were kind of like of the era that kind of learned it as you went along, again, I didn't know Fran like full disclosure, didn't know who Fran Hampton was, and then you find out, and you're like, oh my god, that's awesome, and then you start kind of seeing the systemic holes in our system where he can get assassinated literally, and nothing happens. But
no, I know, and I agree with you that the subject matter, like even what you just said there, makes me just go, like it makes me gasp.
Yeah.
What came out of that, and what I was taught was that they were just difficult. They were just, they were a radical.
Right. That's the thing, right? We were like, I remember as a like a 8-9-year-old, people in the playground be like, oh, they're just like the Black KKK.
Yeah.
And boy, that could not be any further from the truth. And it just shows that, again, that's the way, unfortunately, some history is passed down, is through the playground, which obviously we got to make sure Finn does not get that grounding.
Yeah, so a 10-point program they wanted from the administration, like they went to the table and spoke to them. So it's incredible. You and I are in government. You hear these things. I'm just pouring over, getting off topic, Roosevelt and Lincoln. And within that, I have questions. But, in regards to today's challenges and today's knowledge, however, you still see the things they did. And you go, holy moly. Like, I was jumping up and down getting stop signs on Ravenscroft. And these guys, like there was no way he was going to get like the United States into that war. And he got them into the war.
We declared a climate emergency in our terms. So I think that's pretty important. But I get your point. Obviously, it's
okay. And fittingly, the last one,
the father. The only reason I didn't pick this was because I just feel over the past decade there have been a ton of Alzheimer-ish types movies, and or dementia type movies, and I just think they're always there, but it's not enough to win. There was the one with Julianne Moore,
Harrison Ford too.
Which one? Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford either was in an accident, forgot his memory.
Yeah, that's regarding Henry. He got amnesia.
Yeah, still.
Sir, that is hardly the same.
I'm all over it.
I loved that movie too as a kid. I don't know why. I was like 9 when that movie came out. So the movie I'm talking about is called Still Alice, and it was about how she, based off a novel, how like she slowly early onset Alzheimer's, and like how she suffers through it. So literally very similar subject matter. And so I don't know. I back to your point of just like you weren't in the mood to watch that other movie about the pregnancy that gone awry.
Wow.
We were not in a mood to watch this movie, especially it just came out within the past few weeks, and just like we like in real time we heard about another lockdown, and just like we were just like, we don't want to be depressed, right? We want to watch just like popcorn at this point, because
not a Marvel movie and crank it up. Yeah.
If this had come out probably in December, I probably would have given it, or like in our radar in December, we probably watched it, but because it didn't, we just ended up skipping it until I'll probably watch it before the Oscars, because this is I think it's like 10 days.
Yeah, so for us, it was the last movie we watched of all the Oscars. So, and I'm glad we watched it when we did. On a personal level, it completely hit home. It was my dad. When I saw this it was my father. And the fact that it's, no spoiler alerts, but it's written from the perspective of the Alzheimer person. So you're viewing it through his eyes.
Right.
It was easily, with Coleman and Hopkins, the most solid performances, easily. It was really even. Acting school, you're talking, this is it. Have a look at this. If you want to see that, absolute perfect, solid acting performances, this is it. It was subtle. It wasn't long. It was one of those, when it was over, we looked at each other and said, that was the best picture. It really was. I by the way, I chose Minari.
Yeah.
But The Father is a heavy, solid Oscar movie. And if it won, I'm going to be clapping because it's very, very good.
Yeah, it's again, if it wins, I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't.
And I wasn't in the mood either.
Yeah.
And despite that, like when you're not hungry, but somebody gives you something that's so good, you still eat it.
Robbie, look at the two of us. Of course I know. Of course I know what that's like. Sir, I just eat because I'm bored sometimes. Of course I know what that's like. Very quickly though, I'm just very curious. So this is unrelated or related. What was your favorite movie last year?
You see, without looking?
No. It was Parasite, Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite won.
Yeah, once upon, I like Parasite a lot, actually.
Me too.
And in the Minari sense, because again, I keep going for this theme about, I don't know anything about this, and through their eyes, and the fact that
apparently you just really like Korean cinema. This is what you're realizing.
No, but that ceramic little flat they lived in, and how the whole family's barefoot and everything. I'm going, look at this. I'm right in there. Like, it was just so well done. But I liked Once Upon a Time in America, in Hollywood, which is over there. There's a lot of people didn't like, but I love.
I really liked it. My favorite movie last year was Little Women with like a full stop. It was, I remember being so, and I read the book. It was one of my favorite books, probably one of my top 3 books all time.
Right.
And it had just nailed that movie. And I remember
Once Upon a Time for me would have been my pick.
I was like in tears afterwards. So just, yeah. Okay. Well, Robbie, hour and 20 minutes later, we did it. We went through almost as long as the Oscars themselves. We went through, and not even a fraction as entertaining. We went through our Oscar picks of 2020 for last year. So thanks so much for joining me today. This was obviously a blast, and I guess I'll pencil you in for next year. This will be let's do this annually.
Yeah, I would love to do it. Yes, Rob and Sterling.
Until we start hating each other, and then we just won't have an episode anymore.
Well, we'll see. Sterling and Rob's Oscar picks.
Yeah.
But
the Oscar episode of Durham Unplugged every year. Even if I don't even have a podcast, I'm still going to record and put it up because I think it's very fun to have this conversation. So before we leave, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just Google Council Tyler Morin Ajax. And also, I just wanted to say that it's nice to reach out to people continually through Zoom. I know it's not what we would love, but at least it's something. And we are accessible. We have lots of community meetings and that kind of thing. And I also wanted to say thank you to you, because I enjoyed being on council with you. And I think we've gotten better at being on council together and started to know each other. And we have a ton of stuff in common. And also, thanks for doing this, because it's different. And it's nice. It's nice that people see all these, Kevin Ash or Collier, or, Jennifer French, and so, like us guys. And it's nice because you get to see, local leaders, use the term lightly, and some people that you wouldn't even know about, like you were saying from, anyways. So thank you for doing this show, because it's different, and I think it's good. It's a good thing that people.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a passion project of mine to just have these kind of fun conversations that we may not get too many opportunities to. So thanks for carving out some time, folks. You can find me at Your Voice for Ajax, number 4 instead of the word 4. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have a chance. Robbie just did, actually. I appreciate that, and we will see you. We will see you next time on Durham Unplugged. See you guys.